morning, guys. All right, so here's what's coming to me is that you can have holes and still be holy. Like, you can have your wounds that are still not healed yet, and you are still whole. You can have done things or be in a situation that's not the perfect environment, not even on the perfect environment, but maybe an environment that's not ideal for you, or you feel powerless in a situation, or you don't have all the things, but you can still pour love into yourself. You can still love yourself. You can still, I don't know how it works for other people, but I almost feel like I think that we kind of accrue so much karma and self-sabotage to the point it's like, when it's your time to awaken, then you have to you're like, oh dang, like now I'm in this mess of a situation, and I have to figure out how to be okay. Like, when I think about the times in my life that I miss, or that that stand out as I feel like the happiest isn't the right word, but kind of, yeah, like the happiest times of my life is when I was in college and I had ultimate freedom. And I've always been attracted to discipline. So I've always had some discipline, and I was able to I wasn't the kid that didn't go to class. I skipped some, but I went to my classes. I did the things I had to do. I showed up for test day. I did the things, but I loved having my own schedule. I taught classes, and I loved being able to just the amount of freedom, and I also, not only that, but also the energy of being on campus with all these young, hungry minds that there was just so much going. It was so vibrant. The energy was always, it was like a high. And it was just so many options and possibilities, and I could go on and on. I could go on and on about it, but that stands out to me as a time in my life that was so much fun, and that it was so enjoyable, and but there wasn't a lot of resistance. I was, I guess, continuing to create good karma, because I wasn't dealing with a lot of bad karma. I wasn't dealing with spiritual warfare, that I'm aware, that I can think of. I would date around. I wasn't tied down to anybody, until the end, when I was dating Teddy's dad. But anyway, when it came to being a parent and having to be forced into a certain lifestyle, a certain situation, I was forced to change. And it was so overwhelming, because I didn't even like being a homebody. I didn't like sitting all the time. There was those are just two little things. It was all the things, and being nurturing and all of that, I think, comes natural. But when you're in a relationship that's not working and stuff like that, so then it was that. But then when we were in Florida's, it was the other time, that area, and the jobs that I had there, and the gym, and the people at the gym, and there were lots of things about Florida that I missed that were also incredible. We would go down to the port, and I'm going to get to the cards, y'all, but we went down to it was Port Charlotte. It was a bunch of ports. And there would be manatees, and there were bats, and there were the wildlife. The wildlife was just incredible there. And we lived on a wildlife preserve. I think that's what it's called, which was really cool. But we had deer come in our yard and stuff like that. So then when I'm in a situation that I felt kind of trapped in, and has continued for such a long period of time, and taking on homeschool, and it's just been sacrifice after sacrifice. And so I'm grateful in many ways. And but I guess the point about this is that I still appreciate and I'm grateful for all those memories from college, but none of those were about relationships. None of those things that I said were about a relationship. None of those were about learning about myself. None of those were about, I'm sure that there's things, I know that there were things that I learned, but I was running for myself. So that's what I've had to sit down and face so many things and continue to face them and go through the warfare and the pain and the frustration and the lack of freedom and the powerlessness. And there's just so much today that's hitting me that it's like, there have been so many habits that needed to change, addictions that I've already worked through, and then other habits that I'm still trying to work through now because I took them on to cope with everything. Like when I get too stressed, I don't want to eat and I literally have no appetite. And that hit me yesterday that it was like, I was really hungry. Like I wouldn't get too personal there, but it's like, depending where I am in my cycle, like, and this is most women, I think, like you have different cravings and like you want to eat more like right before your cycle because I guess your body's producing more blood. I don't know, but I don't know. I need to educate myself. But then I woke up and I felt more refreshed today and I was like, there's still these habits that I need to work through. But it's like, when you're in a situation where you don't have more freedom or you don't have more options, or there's something with that is like the mind is always trying to like figure out, how do I save energy? Like, how do I cope with the environment that we're in? Like, how do I still get dopamine? How do I still get, your brain is like, that's how I imagine it is. It's like always like, how do I get what I need? Because I do fall into depressive states, and then that does happen. Or I'll be like really sluggish because I'm stressed and I don't have an appetite and I don't want to eat, but my body is like, okay, well now we have to preserve like energy. So I guess I wanted to say all that to say that healing is hard, and ascension is a lot of it is this like density and this messiness and facing your darkness and facing the things that you don't want to have to deal with. But then you embrace your shadow, not only your shadow, but your inner child through it all. And that's the last thing I wanted to touch on, is that came to me recently, is that it's like, that abandonment that we feel, that we're always trying to like fill that void or always attached to something to feel secure, is really that giving that to ourselves. And even sometimes it's like little things that you do for your inner child, like, and it's a discovery too. But what you realize is that yes, maybe there were abandonment situations that happened when you were a child, but all of that happened so that you could then come back to yourself and develop that connection and that love for yourself, because you just start to see, it's not like black and white, but it's like you start to see more and more how it's like, of course, if I'm not pouring into myself, appreciating myself, loving myself, seeing myself as the bad bitch or whatever it is, like whatever person, whatever it is that makes you feel good, that makes you feel special and powerful, then how can I expect someone else to? But it still is like that part of us that feels rejected always wants someone to just like be that, just show up as that knight that like that just saves the day or whatever. Like there's still that part of us that we have to keep like pouring into so that we don't want to escape or like think that we are going to be saved. Because in those moments when you come back to yourself, there's just aren't words for it. It's so profound and so special that you were able to give that to yourself, because it's like whenever we think that we find that outside of us, it always ends up being a lesson, and it's sad, it sucks, and it gets harder. It feels like sometimes it's like, you're like, I really just need this thing. I just want to have this break. I just want to go have this whatever experience. And when it's not from the right intention, it ends up being a lesson. And so it's very frustrating. So I wanted to say that because it gets very karmic cycles get exhaustive, to say the least. And, but it's so special when you can find those things that your inner child really needs. And it's like, it's not even about like how much money. It's not about any of the shallow, the superficial stuff. It's not about being successful. It's not about having a certain amount of money. It's not about, oh, okay, I'm super sovereign and I did all the things. Like, I do think all of that, all of those little habits that you do that are from a place of self-love and self-sabotage, those do definitely, like, we need that self-care so that we're taking care of ourselves will continue to keep us up, I guess. I feel like it's like your energy helps keep your vibration up. But I don't know. And this is definitely personal for me. It's like the inner child stuff for me has been so profound because it's like, you just don't even like stuff that I didn't even expect. Like, oh, okay. Like, I'm trying to think of like a prime example. I think the dance, and which is funny because I'm still not really like, that's like an on-off thing for me, but like playing dress up, being like silly, and especially when you have a life that's kind of like mundane, it's like you definitely need that inner child play. Like, yes. Because that's the other part, is that you get like, okay, I don't want to just keep creating bad karma, but I still want to have fun. And it's this like, how do I still make this happen with minimal resources, but also not create more bad karma. Okay, so I wanted to speak that, and I hope that it helps because I'm in a very crazy situation. So I guess I hope that this helps somebody, because I've had to make many sacrifices. I've made choices from the very disempowered place that I'm still trying to figure out how to get back on my feet to have more resources. But I've also learned to love myself through this, even if other people don't, or like don't like me or whatever. That's the miracle in it, is that, and the blessing is that you realize that it doesn't matter because you're going to love yourself, and that's what you needed all along is, and I hope that we seriously do find and attract the right things and the right people, because there is that. I mean, that's truth. It's like, it is, if you don't have a network or a tribe support team, it is hard. It is very much like day by day. And that is energy draining in its own way, but let's not go down that road. So let's get to the cards and wrap this up. Okay. Because there's a poll about hermit mode, and I've been feeling that a lot, as well as they're trying to guide me to like, just take it easy and let yourself kind of move through the motions and feel it out and stay with your intuition. Because there's a lot of emotion going on. We have the moon out here, and that could even be like, what I'm getting is like, don't get too caught up in your emotions. Like, let them pass over, but don't try not to attach to them. Try not to give it too much meaning, I guess. And we have justice. So that's giving me that justice is coming for you, and what it is that you're needing, or to kind of level the playing field. Thank you. Like, level out the playing field. It's beautiful. You're feeling like, because you're feeling like your world's turned upside down, and you want this Ace of Cups. There's an imbalance in your energy, so I think that maybe you're just not, there's something that maybe you're not seeing correctly. So just spend time in that hermit mode and know that justice is coming. Patience and giving yourself grace goes such a long way, because I know that patience was one of the first things I had to learn, because I went from being mom and all the things I had to learn, figure out, and face just in that. And then from that to like being thrown into single parenthood. And there was some breaks in there, because like I said, Florida was awesome in its own way, but like, so patience will carries you through it all. Doesn't mean it's always easy. But it's like, there's something so special and especially if you do love nature, or you love little things about life, and you are able to connect to that there's so much magic in that. And then like enjoying the subtleties of life. It's like I'd missed so much of that when I was just go, go, go all the time. I was never present. I was never in tune with nature anymore. I like was losing that. I was numbed out. It was just, so it's kind of like you get to like be more sensitive, slow down, move through the motions, have this, be able to learn more about yourself, fuel yourself, refill yourself, find your inner child, nurture that. But then you also have to deal with the density too. Like you don't just get the good parts, you have to deal with both. So, and then, it's still this competition, but it's like, that's the thing, is like, you're like, okay, so I'm not a savage beast right now, but that's okay. Like, having contentment within is what's going to keep carrying you through. And there are, y'all, this is just me. Go find the people that inspire you if this doesn't inspire you. And of course, if this doesn't resonate, this is only for who it resonates for. There's people out there who are just savage, like have done so much shadow work that they're just like Goddess Michelle, Anthony, give you guys this info if you want it, their info. They're out there making huge impacts, and and they've had their own journey to get to that point and all of that. But, finding that contentment within and with yourself and accepting where you are, it just helps you to be like, okay, like I'm not, whatever is okay. Yeah, discovering your inner child again. I think that coming back to the subtleties and the magic and the nuances, and being able to, because even like, this is the last thing I want to say, is that it's like there's still this back and forth with like my body, and like and not wanting to attach to that or care about that, but also wanting to feel beautiful and be seen. Like there's still this kind of like place that I'm navigating with that, and that may be the rest of my life. I don't know, because we do live in a physical world and we're in a body. So it's like, and there is so much about beauty, and there's so much about beauty that I truly love, but the moment that I like feel attached to the way I look in any way, it's sadness. It's never something positive. But we've created such a world that is so fixated on the superficial and the material. So it is hard not to get pulled in by it. It takes a lot of like, really can't recommend not getting sucked into social media enough, because it is so hard, and it's programming your subconscious. That's the thing. It's like, it's still doing something, even if you're consciously like not falling into comparison. It's still messing with our subconscious. So, I'm not, do you, whatever makes you happy and feel good, and, nurtures you the way that you need. All right, I'm almost at 19 minutes. I love you guys. You can book a personal reading with me. Just take whatever resonates and leave the rest. All right, I love you guys.